Good to have you join us on another edition of Reporters Blog. My name is Patricia Gasu. Our reporters will be joining us again this week to discuss interesting stories they've covered throughout the week. How they met some victims and what they went through. Let's see how it went in getting that interesting story you watched in the course of the week. We'll be right back with more. And welcome back. Next, I have with me my colleague Redwan Karim Dean Osman. Before I continue this conversation, let's watch the story.
The honking vehicles, the milling crowds of commuters, hawkers and loiterers. This is Ghana's capital, Accra, vibrant in the day as many throng the city to eke out a living. But when it's all done and the sun goes down and the daytime visitors are all departed, those who call the city center home don't really have a home.
Life on
the street is very terrifying. Recently, two of my colleagues sustained severe injuries when a car nearly ran us over.
I work as a driver's mate with meager wage that can't secure my accommodation.
The case of Accra's ever-present homeless population is an open secret that is often ignored. That is, until news reports such as these remind us of the plight of Accra's street families. They wait for the end of the business day so they can have doorways and verandas of the various shops as their living quarters. In most cases, complete strangers are compelled to pass the night huddled next to each other, in some cases holding on to whatever scanty belongings they may possess. A more comfortable spot will mean an exclusive bed area with loose partitioning to keep some of the cold out. These street families number into the thousands, desperate men, women and children whose lives have been reduced to nothing but squalor. 20-year-old Agnes Safua has been living on the street for close to 10 years. She says over the years, she has been compelled by her predicament to sell her body in order to survive.
We are homeless. We have nowhere to go. We survive by stealing and prostituting, which sometimes puts us in the grips of the police. We often get some money by sleeping with men, but it is hardship that drives us into the act. The business is risky because some of the men use us for money rituals, and there are times we are not even paid for our services.
21-year-old Abigail Asamoah shares a similar story, except in her case, she ended up on the street with her child after her boyfriend refused to accept responsibility for her pregnancy.
Sometimes, even defaulting debtors who are chased by their creditors join us on the street. The number of people who live on the street here is really huge. Majority of them survive by stealing. Sometimes they are arrested or even lynched by angry mobs. As for the women, there are some who have engaged in prostitution for so many years, yet they can't afford a room. So they make do with the pavements in the night. During the day, if you see them, it won't even strike you they sleep on the street.
She is hopeful someday in the near future, her situation will change for the better. Life here is miserable, and in their bid to cope with the daily terror on the streets, as well as to suppress hunger pangs and deal with traumatic memories, many succumb to substance abuse, a temporary escape from the hardship that life has served them. Homeless, homeless, homeless. As we drove through the city, there were more of Accra's street families huddled on concrete slabs and cold pavements, the segments of the population most vulnerable should there be a tragedy, such as the June 3 flood and fire disasters, which claimed almost 200 lives. At the break of dawn, when the hustle and bustle resumes, they mingle once again with the daytime visitors, many of whom are oblivious to the fact that not everyone passed the night in a warm bed in a decent home. Homeless, homeless,
the moonlight sleeping on a midnight lake. Interesting one indeed. Ridwan, did you spend the night with them on the pavement? Or how many days did it take you to do the story?
It took almost a week. You know, doing stories like these come with so much challenges, and so it really took me a lot of time to be able to do the story. Yeah, so it was 1 week actually.
You go there every night? Yes.
No, you go there
because you got them in the night and you got them at dawn.
Exactly.
Tell me about it. How did you do this?
Well,
what time actually do you leave the office?
We left the office around 11 p.m.
Every day?
Every day.
Okay.
Yes, because you know, usually when you are doing stories like this, obviously you have people meeting it with so much resistance, and so the best thing you do is to go at a time when they are almost asleep.
So you're sneaking in like the thief in the night,
like an investigative journalist. Yeah, to be able to get all the shots that you want, and so that is exactly what happened. And I remember a lot of people saying I made people sad and all of that, but that wasn't actually the case. I mean, my duty is to go out there and tell the story, let people know what is really happening. And so, I mean, I couldn't have distorted, the reality. I remember Ifuakwa Harrison almost cried. There was a number of emotional outpouring on social media. But, I mean, that is the story. If indeed it did strike you, it obviously means that as a country, we need to do more.
Okay. I want to come to you. Leaving the office, getting to that particular places, going to that particular places, taking shots of them sleeping in the open, on pavements, in front of stores. What came to mind?
Well, it was a hard moment for me, I must say. It was really challenging because I have always wanted to do a story on homeless people. Whenever I close from work and I'm going home, I see them all.
Of them.
Exactly. And they seem so indifferent about their plight. But I believe that is not really the case. The point is that they don't have any other alternative, so they just have to make do with what they have. I had always wanted to do something on homelessness until one of our big bosses, Mr. Charles Van Dyke, came around and said that on his way to work around 7 a.m. he saw some people still sleeping on the circle overhead, and so decided to bring some pictures. And fortunately for me, I would say fortunately for me, when he brought the pictures and he was discussing it with our senior editor, Ato Kwame Nadazi, I was the person he called. Ridwan, I want you to do the story. And so I was just in the house and I called Ato that Ato, on this day, I will need a camera. On this day, I will need a camera to go out to do the story. And he gave me Richard Akwa, and I must say that Richard Akwa did a very fantastic job, even at a point that the whole assignment was getting scary, because at a point people were chasing us and all of that. He
were chasing you guys because
exactly, some people were smoking, and so they thought that you're going to expose them, and at the end of the day they will find themselves wanting, and so they were chasing us. But he remained level-headed, he maintained his composure, and at the end of the day we managed to get the visuals to tell the story. Now let's talk about the commercial sex worker that I interviewed in the story. Now, this is a lady who came to Accra at the age of 10. She was brought somewhere to, work with somebody, but the person was maltreating her. So she
decided to
end up on the street. Then eventually, the issue of survival, she needed to, make out a living. And so she decided to go into prostitution. But somebody will say, how did you get here to talk to you? Patricia, it's just about making people feel that you are part of them. Making people feel that, you can give them that sense of belongingness. I just went there and I said, Miniaba, netiseng, abrabmitimus abrabongu nyautiha, nyome ayabasade ne koso. You know, just setting that tone for her, she decided to just pour out.
I guess she's been longing to speak with someone to help her out.
Exactly, and you realize she doesn't have anybody. And so anytime she has problems, obviously she would have to coil in a corner somewhere and just weep. When she's tired, which areas in particular did you go to? I went to Tema Station, the Central Business District.
Okay.
I went to Malata Market. Then I went to Kwame Nkrumah Circle and went to Dakuman as well.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I went to a number of areas. So
let me say in the evening around 11 p.m. you go there to do that story, and then you go back at dawn.
You see, always I had to come to the office very early, so that we will plan on our next move, how we would want to do this second assignment differently or third assignment differently. So when I come, I explain to Aqua, Charlie, this is how today we are going to do it. We have to do this, we have to do this, do that. And so I'll come to the office around 7 p.m. Then I will stay through till 12. And some of the drivers were equally marvelous. Jonathan, Alote, Mr. Adiko, they all really showed enough commitment
because
towards this assignment.
watching the story, it's interesting because I'm not sure that is the only place. And I think you stated that the number of people who sleep outside are more than the number of people with homes.
Exactly. And you realize that at a point we had one of the ladies that I spoke to telling you that even those who have places to sleep are just a handful. Majority of them sleep on the street.
When I saw that stretch, it was like, okay, strangers sleeping together.
And at that point, you know, the images, I was wondering, can one really catch a sleep in these conditions, looking at the fact that the place looks dirty?
To think of it, even those with big homes are even scared of sleeping in their homes.
Exactly.
So I believe they are more comfortable and sound, should I say, yeah, they are sleeping soundly.
Comfort in quotes.
Yeah.
They don't have any other alternative. Life also needs to move on, and so
they just make do with what they have.
Exactly, Patricia. And so it's really a sad situation for them. I believe I'm not the first person to have done a story on the plight of homeless people. A number of reportage
but this one, seriously, personally, this one is really touching.
Yeah, I've had a number of feedbacks. I've had a lot of comments on social media. If you go to our page, the video is there. People are still expressing sadness.
Make sure that doesn't get into your head. Try and do more
Obviously.
Nice stories, so we can so the government can find solutions to all of these.
You know, I do a lot more compelling stuff. I believe this is just the beginning. People should just watch out. I'll be bringing more of these human interest stories.
More compelling content for multimedia.
Patricia.
Thank you very much for your time. And that was my colleague Ridwan Kareem Dean with that compelling piece. We'll be right back with more. Please stay. Welcome back. The show is Reporters Blog, and today I've been joined in studio by my colleague Matilda Pomaga. She actually traveled to Ada and Bon to cover some interesting stories, and she's here to give us details and tell us how it all went. Welcome to Reporters Blog.
Thank you.
You know, let's start with this particular story. when you went to Ada, the guy who was tortured for stealing 12 Ghana cedis.
It was a 2,000 CFA, which its CD equivalent is
12
between 12 and then 13 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
You know, this boy, it actually happened.
Before the let's start, how
did we?
Did you get a story? How did the whole journey go? Just tell me about.
Okay, so we got the story from the newsroom. The call came to about this particular issue that had happened at a corridor within Ada. So we decided to follow up because we realized there was some human rights abuse at that particular time. So we needed to follow up and then get exact details as to what exactly went wrong. What did this guy do? What he's been accused of? Did he actually do it and all that? So we traveled to Ada because the guy is in Ada, so we had to set off from here to Ada, and then I had to get that story on Tuesday.
Okay.
So
before you continue, I want us to watch that story.
He take hitter. One name who is hammer. He take hitter and hit my whole of legs. And they take rice cooker and hit my stomach.
21-year-old Mohammed is in great pain. This follows a terrible assault on him by 3 of his neighbors at Corridor, a town at Ada in the Greater Accra region. The JHS2 students serve as an errand boy for the 3 men who allegedly tortured him. They plugged in an electric heater, tied him up and applied the searing heat to various parts of his body, all in a bid to get him to confess to stealing the CFA equivalent of 12 CDs. In spite of the pain and torture, Mohammed insists he is innocent of this particular theft of 2,000 CFA, even though he admits stealing some coins in the past.
The one who called me say I should go and fetch water. Say I should go and fetch water. When I went to go and fetch water, and I rather take his coins. I want to ask him whether he will change it for me. I forget. I couldn't ask him. Now tomorrow, Thursday, he said his money lost. Paper, D-mill.
How much? How much?
D-mill 3. Paper. Okay. And coins. It's the coins I take. In the name of God, I didn't take the paper. I couldn't see the paper at all.
And what did he do to
He
you?
didn't do anything to me, but the 2 guys, one named Hammer and one named Ivare, they beat me and they tied my hand and leg. And he take hitter. One who is hammer. He take hitter and hit my whole of legs. And they take rice cooker and hit my stomach. And he take knife. He say won't kill me.
When they later realized Mohammed was innocent, the chiefs and elders of the Zungu community in Corridor gave him 5 CDs for lunch as compensation. All this has greatly angered Mohammed's uncle, who found him traumatized in a room which he had locked himself up.
Welcome back. Matilda, with all that scars on his body?
Yeah. That was to force him to confess that he actually stole the money. And this guy told me that, no, you know, he served as an errand boy for these 3 men who assaulted him. And he tells me that over some time back, he stole some coins. He stole some coins. And he doesn't know why they're accusing him of stealing this 2,000 CFA that went missing. So he told them he didn't take this money. He has no knowledge. He has no knowledge about this money that he's been accused of. But they beat him up, they tied him up for him not to shout and all that. They locked him up in a room, beat him and tortured him for him to confess that he indeed stole the money. But this boy stood to his grounds and then said that he had no knowledge about it. But yet still, they went ahead and then they tortured him with the electric heater and all that. And
you had an encounter with him. You met him.
I spoke with him. Yeah, I spoke with him.
How was he?
Well, I don't know if he was a bit kind of scared of the cameras. I don't know if he is still traumatized after what happened to him, because when we tried talking to him, he wasn't himself. I had to find a way to convince him to talk and narrate the whole how the whole incident happened. So it took some effort for us to convince him to speak on camera, because he later told me that what has happened to him, he died. You know, this boy was actually adopted and he was brought into the family and all that. So already there's some kind of feeling, and for him to go
belong here.
Yeah, for him to go through that. And the most annoying part of it all is that when the chiefs and elders realized that this boy was actually innocent, they gave him 5 cedis for lunch.
For what? For
lunch. Just to say we are sorry, to compensate him.
After the torture?
After the torture.
You pay him 5 cedis?
5 cedis to kind of compensate him for going through that torture. And you can just ask yourself, 5 cedi, well, 5 cedi, is it enough to cover up for all the torture this boy had gone through? What if he passed out or something? Anything could have happened to him. They could have done worse than that, because if you look at the scars on his body, I don't know when the scars are going to leave him, but even if the wounds heal, it will still be at the back of his mind, and this will still torture this boy. One thing that I notice within that particular community is that people are not so much aware of their rights and all that. Even in Accra here, you have people who walk about and they don't really know what their rights are and all that. So you can imagine those people there and all that. It's like a regular thing where in the community, when something happens, they can just take some instant justice and all that on you. So it wasn't too much of a big deal to those in the community. It's not so much of a big deal.
So when they saw the cameras, they were like, oh, this issue.
They were actually even surprised we had to travel all the way from Accra to come and then film this boy who had been beaten, and then on top of it all, he has been given 5 cedis. So they don't see too much of a big deal of the story we came to do, but we knew the agenda we were trying to push.
Yeah.
It's a human right that has been violated and all that. But we're glad that the police at least made some headway with this
I think we should be following up on this particular story, because
2 people were arrested. 2 of the men who assaulted him were arrested, but 1 is still on the run. So the police are still trying to make efforts to arrest the 3rd person.
I pray they do. And then before we continue again, let's watch the second story of a boy who was knocked down by his teacher's vehicle, and he seriously needs medical attention. Let's watch.
I feel that I cannot pray with my friends. If they are praying, I will stay there and look at them. I feel that I am sad. I am worrying my parents so much. I don't feel anything except I should go to my school and get good job to do and take care of them.
Samuel Duka is in great pain. All he remembers is what his family told him about an accident which occurred 9 months ago. Samuel was knocked down by a vehicle belonging to a teacher in his school. He was in coma for a week, and when he gained consciousness, he had absolutely no memory of the incident.
I don't know where I'm going before I get the accident. They told me that I am on bike, but me too, I don't know where I am going before the car hits me.
What do you remember when you woke up? Where did you see yourself?
I don't know where I am, but the time we came here, before I saw the picture, one day I saw the picture in the room, and I am looking at it. Then they told me that time I am on a coma, and they have pictured me. I forgot that this is my sister, but I am seeing them. I felt that they brought me somewhere. I don't go to school, I stay at home.
Though his wounds appear healed, Sammy tells me he continues to endure an unbearable pain each day.
My leg is doing like something is paining me in. My hand, I cannot touch anything. I can eat with my left. That one bit.
Do you bath?
They bath for me. They wear the clothes for me. everything they are doing for.
Before the accident, Samuel was a JHS 1 student of the St. James Anglican School in Sekondi, Takoradi. An active student, he was the captain of the school's football team. Today, he cannot play the game he loves anymore. To make matters worse, his education appears to have been truncated. Meanwhile, the teacher whose car knocked Samuel down has refused to pay his medical bills. For the family, this has been a very difficult year.
Welcome back. Matilda, the guy, should I say the boy has lost his memory? Has lost his memory.
I can't say for sure that he has lost his memory, but I can say that he's still traumatized after that accident, because what I gathered from his family, I didn't get to speak with the doctor who attended to him, but what I gathered from the family is that even when he went, you know, this boy went into coma for a week. When he woke up, he wasn't talking and all that. I think it's a very common thing.
Because he was saying he can't even remember. He only saw the picture and he realized
he saw the picture and then all that. It happens to, I'm sure this happens to people who go into coma after some severe injury or something they've gone through. I'm sure that is what this boy is really suffering from. But the sad aspect of it all is that he's not getting the medical attention, and this could get worse for him, because if even his family, he can't even make his sister and then his mother and brother out, it's a very serious issue. Yeah. He didn't know, he doesn't remember where he was going when the car knocked him down. All he remembers is that they've brought him somewhere which he knows is a new place, where they told him this is his new home, and he's now in Kpong and all that.
Okay, now you covered these two stories. Two traumatized boys going through this, like having this thing done to them. You met them, you had an encounter with them. Let's say, or ask the reporter on the ground.
These two stories that I covered, what saddens me most is, both are quite serious, but what saddens me is the 15-year-old boy who was knocked down by his teacher, who should know better that, yes, this boy is coming from a home that they don't really have much. They've spent all their money on taking care of this boy's medical bills, and then yes, still the teacher ignored them, and then he has refused to pay the medical bills and all that. He is suffering a lot. He tells me he feels he's given his parents too much trouble, because everything they have to do for him. He remembers those days where he could join his peers to play football and all that. Today he can't do that. They need to bath him, they need to feed him, and everything. He's relying on his family, so he feels like he's a burden on his family. If 15-year-old can tell you that, you can imagine what he's going through. So what he urgently needs now is some form of assistance to see his medical bills, and also to get him back to school. But in all, these two stories are quite it was very emotional for me. It's not the everyday stories that we do. These are stories that comes in once a while, and then these guys really need help.
Anyway, I pray help comes quickly. Thanks for your time on Reporters Blog. And that was my colleague Matilda Pomaga. Up next is the soundbite of the week.
What do you make of the transmitter here?
The transmitter is here, but it help everybody here. So this house is help everybody here for Africa. So let's God make our this thing. Government make something for this one. This is important thing. All these two is important things.
When you say it's important, what exactly do you mean?
Yeah, the transformer is important. The building is important. So let's go. Government come and help this one. Compound is here, so let's come and look place where they will come and face down this one for back. So with the help, boy.
But you stay here. You don't think this is a threat to your life?
Yeah, this one. Upon that, and yeah, big deal. It's too hard about this one. So let's come and help for the workers way let's come and remove this one here. So
my name is Patricia Gasu. Thanks for spending time with me here today on Reporters Blog. See you same time next week. Until then, stay blessed.